Carney is already facing criticism in Canada for reworking and renaming his cabinet. He cut the number of ministers from 39 to 29, consolidated their positions, and changed the titles of their offices. The title of Ministry of Diversity, Inclusion, and Persons with Disabilities has been eliminated, sparking outcry from some disability advocates, among others. That position is now under the Minister of Jobs and Families. We reached out to Prime Minister Mark Carney's office about these changes, and they responded, saying in part that in the current cabinet, Minister Hajdu leads the work to support Canadians living with disabilities, including our commitment to reviewing and reforming the process to apply for the disability tax credit and develop a disability justice framework to address longstanding inequities, biases, and systemic discrimination. Amanda Achtman, creator of Dying to Meet You, a project that aims to help our society understand the value of human life at all stages, joins us now to talk about these changes in Canada's Parliament. Amanda, why is it important to have the minister's title include the words persons with disabilities? And how do you feel about the response the ministry gave about the changes they made?
First of all, I would like to thank you for your interest in this, because what persons with disabilities across Canada are wondering now is whether they are a priority of the federal government. And so it may be natural for a new government to shift the priorities and the cabinet positions, but what we see now is that we have a minister responsible for artificial intelligence, all the while the ministry responsible for persons with disabilities has been removed or shifted. And so this is causing communities, organizations, persons with disabilities to question what message is intended to be sent by this change. Does it mean that there is less of a priority on the part of the government? And that's the real question here.
And assisted suicide in Canada continues to grow, and persons with disabilities have voiced concern that they will be targeted by these laws. What are you seeing on the ground there in Ottawa?
It is a tragedy that the main conversation about persons with disabilities that Canadians have been privy to over recent years has to do with them being eligible for euthanasia. And so even when we had a minister for disability, and this is where there's some important scrutiny as well, even with a minister for disability, these ministers previously supported both the initial ushering in of nationwide euthanasia as of 2016, and in 2021, the disability minister voted in favor of the further expansion of euthanasia, so-called medical assistance in dying, to include persons with disabilities whose deaths are not reasonably foreseeable. This has led some disability rights advocates to describe Canada making disabled people into a killable class, because if you have a disability and are not at end of life, you can ask for state-provided euthanasia in Canada. And that message is that those with disabilities have lives that are perhaps less worth living. This is extremely alarming. This undercuts Canada's pride as being an inclusive, tolerant, diverse society where everyone belongs and has a role to play. And so it's not only a matter of having a minister responsible for disability, but it's really how that role and responsibility is taken up by that particular minister. So it's not enough to have someone with the title. We need someone who recognizes and affirms that every person, regardless of ability or disability, absolutely belongs in our country, has a role to play, and has a life worth living.
And quickly, what resources do those with disabilities need instead of being offered MAID?
One thing that I'm aware of is that many of the government programs for persons with disabilities are vastly undersubscribed, partly due to them being complicated and convoluted. And so certain tax credits and other programs have so much paperwork and so many complications just to be eligible for them. And so some people with disabilities have told me euthanasia is the only thing the government is telling me I'm really qualifying for. And this is outrageous. And so while there are programs and while there are initiatives, if there continue to be barriers and roadblocks to accessibility of government programs, that's also not good enough. And so the role of a disability minister was supposed to be for the disability community to know who their point person is in Parliament, in government, to whom they could raise these concerns and address these gaps. And now it's going to be the role and responsibility of community organizations, the church, and families to look out for those in their lives who may need their support due to these gaps.
Amanda, thank you for your work, and please count on our prayers.
Thank you.